Hello everybody, welcome back. It's Cape Rugby TV time, where we take a look at what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby. We've got a full boat for you tonight, where we have pretty much games in every single one of the leagues. So lots of highlights coming up, and we'll talk more about that during the course of the show. Big thanks, of course, to our partners on board with us, Score Energy Drinks. You can win yourself a case of Score during the course of the show. At least we're going to explain to you how you're going to do that. You just have to spot the ball or spot the team competition. And of course, CyberSmart, internet service providers on board with Cape Rugby TV, your one-stop shop for any internet service requirements, from hosting to websites to internet security. CyberSmart, www.cybersmart.co.za. All right, in studio with me, Jerome Parvater. Jerome, nice to have you back, Meneer.
Yeah, good to be back again.
And Alistair Tace. Alistair, you're into the thick of things now?
That's good to be back, champion.
Are you wearing a new shirt? Is this a new design? Or?
No,
Yeah.
that's actually our old design.
All right. As I said to Renzel Botman, who will be joining us a little bit later, I said to him, you're going to give one opportunity to talk about your own club, and after that, it's all Cape Rugby neutral.
100%.
Yeah, except for Jerome, he's allowed to talk about Western Province all the time. That's his one. Jerome, how are things going at the HPC and around Province, just from a Western Province rugby point of view?
Yeah, look, I think we all know about last week was the elections for the new General Council and the President and
Yes.
whatever. So that's behind now. For many years it was like who's going to be who, so that's out now.
So that's very
And
positive. And by the way, folks, for those of you who just joined us, congratulations to Kevin Kivitz, who is a former Tygerberg rugbyman, who now takes over the presidency at Western Province Rugby. So if you are watching, Kevin, congratulations. We hope to get you on the show as soon as possible. And of course, Jerome, Munib Levy and Shamil Suleiman from Collegians joins as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you
it's
go.
good. Like it's a few old hands, but there's also new
Yeah.
blood, which is good. So hopefully we'll see some changes. So,
All right, let's talk about the rugby side of things. Women's rugby, all of that going strong?
yeah, the clubs are playing.
Yeah.
So that's good, and we just wait for SA Rugby to what's the next competition for the
Yeah.
women's, for the Curry Cup, and then obviously take it from there, and then obviously start again with the provincial program.
I'm quite glad you're here because, as we look through the different results, Alistair, you'll probably know about this as well, but as we look through the different results every weekend, we obviously got so many results and logs and fixtures to do. But I see this year we've got quite a few more women's teams participating. We have a Division 1 and a Division 2, and I think, if I counted correctly, there were 18 active teams. This is this is like almost double the numbers that you had last year.
Yeah, that's very positive, and I mean they're all playing now, so that's good, and,
Yeah.
and still there's a lot of young girls playing in. Some of that new clubs are actually doing well.
Yeah. Alistair, on that point though, one of the things that that stands out for me is that the, call it, open clubs for women's rugby are doing really well.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's growing, and and established clubs is growing in numbers as well with the women's teams. And the quality of the women's game has grown, as we've seen over the weeks on the show.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
we highlighted packages.
I think one of the concerns for me though is that we're starting to see, and I'm sure that they will settle into it, in the results we see big scores against the Naught, and then big scores against the Naught. So either these are administrators who are not putting their scores in, or it's one-way traffic.
Yeah, but we also have to look at it. Is it a startup team?
Yeah.
Or is it the established women's side? And then we can gauge from there.
Yeah,
what
But that's quite
development needs to take
fantastic.
place.
Though. I mean, that's really nice. Startup teams, and we're not really looking at the scores
Yeah.
that much. When Brackenfell women's rugby comes out and dominates, we know they're going to play well. I think that probably Renzo will tell us they've got a ton of Springboks.
Yeah, I think for now it's more about the participation and growing
Yeah.
the game from that perspective.
Yeah. Jerome, your thoughts on that? It's open clubs, universities. It's everywhere now.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and it's so good because there's a lot of, all of a sudden now there's a lot of poaching from other unions trying to take the girls, because I think in a few months' time we're going to see it's definitely going to turn professional, where the Bulls are already professional. So there's something on the card with SA Rugby like that. So but one good thing about all our girls are playing, so that's a positive for us.
All right, let's go straight to some of the results over the weekend, and then we're going to, in our second segment, we'll come back and show you some of the highlights. We've got highlights from all of the Super League A games, and of course, we've got Kraaifontein Goodwood that was playing against each other. That was a big one. But let's go straight away then to the results in Super League A. It was a 15-13 win for Hamilton's over SK Warmers. Van der Stel 38-35 over Unimil. Tygerberg 46-20 over Brackenfell. Villagers 52-33 over UWC. Stellenbosch 38-53. That was a win for False Bay. And then UCT 28-23 win for them against St. George's. Jerome, anything that jumps out for you on that panel there?
Yeah, if you look at just the last one there, like UCT, St. George's, and I think it's the same with Marty's. I think they sort of the players who played in the Varsity Shield are still on a break, and that's why you see also Marty's struggling, but we know they come back stronger in the second half.
Yeah.
On your side, Alistair, your thoughts? Some games there. I mean, I think that the Van der Stel Unimil game and the Hamilton's SK Warmers game, two close games.
Yeah, I think for me it's the Hamilton's SK Warmers game. SK coming back after that big loss against Villagers last week.
Yeah.
So coming up close like that to Hamilton's is quite good. And then Van der Stel, the first win in the Super League.
Yes. So let's just take a look at the logs quickly before we go to the games. Villagers sitting at top of the pile in first place. Then it's Durban. Then it's UCT, Helderberg, False Bay, followed by Van der Stel. And then Tygerberg and Hamilton's and Unimil and Kales River bring up the middle of the pack. At the bottom of the pack, UWC, SK Warmers, St. George's. I suppose for SK Warmers, Alistair, very close margin for them against Hamilton's this weekend. Already showing their colours in only the second game. So when they're running a team like Hamilton's down to the wire, and from my understanding is that it was just a conversion that showed the difference.
Yeah.
And they're only into the second game. SK Warmers is definitely showing their intentions for the season.
Yeah. So if over the past couple of weeks, following them, they've got a new coaching group there. They've bolstered the depth from a player perspective. They've got a new sponsor on board. So the club is growing. So they're back in the 1A after getting promoted, after surviving last year. So I think they'll grow week by week. They are going to surprise some big teams. Hamilton's is champions.
Well, if they're in their second game, it's already the...
Yeah, look, it's early days, JP.
Because we said last week it was early days. They didn't wait for early days. They're straight into it. I mean, Jerome, your thoughts? SK Warmers, I think they're obviously showing what their intentions are, but both SK Warmers and newcomers Van der Stel, the two teams that had to work a little bit harder to be in Super League A this year, also showing Van der Stel also showing their intention.
Yeah, I think it was a good win for Van der Stel over Unimil. Like you say, first year in Super A. I mean, Unimil is an established club. We know Unimil can play. And then, then I think the SK, like Alistair was saying, the SK Hamilton's was. If I was SK, I would see that as a positive result because it's opposite the road, but it's still a away game for them, and they got points out of the game.
And
take the points when you can.
Yeah, the important thing is they picked up bonus points over this past game. And in the long run, that's what helped you out.
But surely the biggest thing there is the amount of confidence that they'll pull from that game. Hamilton's are the current champions. They are the logger holders with the title, and you've got to go fetch it.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw what Hamiltons can do over the Easter weekend, winning that tournament in Saldanha. So they are a force to be reckoned with, but it's always been like that's a true derby between Hamiltons and. Last year SK beat Hamiltons. So this year, I think they win there with the same approach.
All right, folks, we're going to take an ad break. When we come back from the break, UCT St. George's, False Bay, Stellenbosch, we're going to take a look at some of the highlights. Back in a sec, don't go away.